Here, we'll start off with a little bit of can opening ASMR. Oh, yeah, that's the spot. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Pigskins and Pinfalls. I'm Dick Burns here with Bobby Boomerang, and we're here to talk everything from top teams suffering defeat to new tag champs. Yeet!
Well, why am I even lose your shit? Why am I even gonna give a title? That's right, Dick. We're here to talk everything from WWE Fastlane to the 49ers bring the pain. As always, every little bit of support helps keep the show running, so make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like on the video, leave your comments down below, and leave your expectations at the door.
Yeet!
Oh, God. As far as post-match media conferences go, greatest one of all time.
I knew as soon as I came up with that one, you were going to break. That was my goal, was to make you break on that one, and I made it worth it.
I knew it was coming, too. Like, I knew you were going to do something.
As soon as I told you, I was like, I found a way to incorporate it.
The minute you said top team suffering defeat, I was like, this motherfucker.
And it works, too, because we had two different sets of tag champs get changed.
Yeah.
They changed hands.
Yeah.
We're actually
doing
let's start with the fact that we're actually doing a Tuesday morning for once. We're not recording immediately. We might actually have some energy tonight or today. Let's start with some of these quick hits from around the NFL because, we had a very, very interesting week. A lot of the top teams that we had in the power rankings last week, a lot of them went down. It was actually really difficult to make our top 10s this week.
It was, but at the same time, like, I'll explain when I get to my power rankings. I didn't hold that against a lot of teams.
Neither did I.
I think our top 10 is actually going to be very similar again, but I'm curious to see our orders.
I think it's going to be pretty. If you're the way you're talking about it, it might be a little different. You might have a couple teams on there that I don't know. We'll see.
Talking about like these top teams, all right. So the Bills and the Cowboys both suffered some major injuries that cost them the games. Matt Milano. His knee, man. Did you see that clip?
I avoided it. I was like, I don't want to watch that one.
I don't do knees. I don't
There's
do
been
knees.
so many knee injuries this year.
In Dallas, man, like I said, 49ers really brought the pain. We lost Kevontae Turpin. We lost Leighton Vander Esch. We lost C.J. Goodwin. We lost somebody else went down with an injury. My brain's not working right now. I'm trying to push that game out of my subconscious because it was ugly.
I told you the Cowboys were going to lose that game.
And honestly, man, like I don't have a rant this week because for the first three quarters we were down and we stayed. We never had a lead. You know, we lost by 32, obviously, and that's a blowout. We got blown the fuck out.
Yeah.
It was
but again,
not good.
And we even said this last week. It was against the Niners, a team that we both agree is the best team in the league right now. This cemented that. And we even said that if Dallas were to lose that game, it would not hurt them that much. What did hurt them was all the injuries, but that's a different story.
For three quarters, yes, we were down, but we hung in there. It really fell apart in the fourth quarter when Dak threw interceptions and Tony Pollard fumbled. Like it really, like, the wheels fell off in the fourth quarter. But we fought those first three quarters even though we were down.
Yeah. Same thing with the Panthers this week. Like, we knew that we were going to lose to the Lions. It started out as a blowout. Jared Goff having 3 touchdowns in the first half. Like, we knew that game was going to be a blowout. For us to still come back and put up 24 points, I'm okay with it. I'm okay. I'll take it.
I'm not okay. Like, I'm not okay with the Cowboys because in order for us to win a Super Bowl, we're going to have to go probably on the road to San Francisco in the playoffs. I'm not super happy with it, but it's week 5. I'm not ready to sound the alarms just yet. Other injury news, too. A lot of fantasy football leagues' number 1 pick got hurt, Dick.
Justin Jefferson going down with a hamstring injury and is being placed on IR. So he's going to be out for 4 weeks minimum. That's a huge loss for a lot of people. Like you said, a lot of people were taking him number 1, and it's just the curse of the number 1. If there's one thing I learned about this season so far based off of this week, it's do not talk shit about anyone.
Oh, I learned that.
You were the first lesson because you talked shit about DJ Moore last week, and what did he do? Fucking
he torched me in fantasy for 50 points, 49.
Something like that. 49. Jamar Chase actually set the record for the highest score so far this season. 52.8 points, I believe it was. Good on Jamar Chase for a good get-right game for the Bengals in general. which they needed that. Wait, I take that back. No, Dave's was him talking shit about the Dolphins being the best team in the league last week, and then the Dolphins losing to the Bills. You got torched by DJ Moore. You had Kevin talking shit about being the only undefeated team left in the league, and he put up the league worst point total of any.
Points.
What was it? 40-something points. That was it.
Jamar Chase outscored his team.
Entire team. I'm not complaining because I had, 181 points this week?
Yeah, you did good.
Everyone balled out.
I will say, for having DJ Moore go off, I still came back and won that game.
Yeah. You did good. You did good. You came back with it. You weren't sure if you were gonna, but you did. That's enough about our league, though. Let's talk about some of the stuff that happened around the league. Lions cornerback Emmanuel Mosley. This is a tragic one. During the Panthers game, this was his first week back towards left ACL last year in week 5. Comes back in this game, tears his right ACL. Some bad luck right there. Like that's just bad luck. More injuries going around. Devin Achane expected to miss several weeks with another knee injury.
It happens every year, but it sucks to see, A couple trades this week took place. First, it was reported that the Bears were most likely going to cut Chase Claypool because they didn't think anybody would be willing to pay the price they had for him. And the price tag they put on Chase Claypool was a 5th-round pick. The Dolphins picked up the phone, and they said, we'll trade you a 6th-round pick. And the Bears
2025.
took it in 2025. And the Bears took it, so the Dolphins are just collecting wide receivers like Infinity Stones at this point.
Seriously. And not only that, but, that has to be, one of the worst trades in Chicago history if that's the case. You got to think how much they paid to get him from Pittsburgh, and now they're just giving him away for a 2025 6th-rounder. That's a hard drop. That's Trey Lance levels of drop.
Yeah.
And then another trade that also happened this week. J.C. Jackson, who originally was with the Patriots last year, was signed by the Chargers. They have traded him back to the Patriots for the two teams to swap their 6th and 7th round picks. And this is based off of the fact that the Patriots lost Christian Gonzalez. It was a huge loss to their secondary. J.C. Jackson was really unhappy in L.A. anyways. So this kind of works out for everybody, but at the same time, it's just that sucks.
It's always weird when a player gets traded from a team and then traded back to that team. Mm-hmm. It's not something that happens often, but I think those are pretty much our big news around. We're probably forgetting some.
At the same time, this felt like the first normal, not necessarily normal week. Everything else that needs to be covered is just basically who won and who lost, and then power rankings. That's all there really is to talk about this week. So let's go ahead and talk about these power rankers that we have. You want to start with your number 10 or mine?
Yeah. My number 10 is the Ravens.
Okay.
I know that they lost to Pittsburgh after leading for the majority of that game. Again, divisional game. Those don't hold as much weight to me because the teams know each other so well, and that's going to be a common theme in my top 10 this week. But yeah, I still think Baltimore's playing pretty well as a team. Lamar is still Lamar. Like I've said before on this show, their defense is swarming to the ball. So yeah, I have the Ravens at 10.
I had struggled to pick at number 10 because there's so many teams that are really good at 3 and 2. The Ravens being one of them. Yes, it was a tough divisional loss to the Steelers. I eventually went with the Jags. I think that their win against Buffalo in London this week was a statement win. Probably, like we said last week, they probably benefited from having been in London for the week. The Bills also did have to deal with a lot of injuries, but I think at the same time, let's not discredit what the Jags are doing. They're still a good team. They're still arguably the best team in the South right now, in what is very quickly becoming a very competitive AFC South. I had to put some respect on their name.
Can't believe you put respect on their name by having them at 10. They'll pop up in my list later.
Okay.
So moving to number 9.
Number 9.
I went with Seattle. They had a bye week. Didn't play anybody. Didn't win. Didn't lose. So I have them at 9.
That's fair. For the same exact reason, I put the Bucks at 9. Right now, they're pretty much they're the clear-cut best team still in the NFC South. They had that bye week to rest up. They're 3 and 1. Same thing with the Seahawks. I mean, nobody expected them to be here, but they're here. And I'll go ahead and say it right now for the exact same reasons. I have the Seahawks at 8.
For me, I have the Jaguars at 8.
There you go. Oh, wow. So we are still pretty similar this week. Okay.
I have the Jaguars at 8. We said last week, they spent that extra time in London. Maybe that jet lag kind of caught up to the Bills. Ultimately, the Jaguars won. It seems like they're kind of getting the ball rolling in the right direction. So, yeah, I went with the Jaguars at 8. Number 7, I have the Detroit Lions.
I also have the Detroit Lions at number 7.
They beat cover your ears, not great Carolina team.
I don't have to cover my ears. You're not wrong.
But just similar to the Jags, they've got the ball rolling in the right direction.
That offense is very high-powered right now.
Yeah, they got Jameson Williams coming back. David Montgomery is just torching people, still getting the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs. Their offense is incredible. It's a high caliber offense. I like what they're doing.
Yeah.
Lions.
I will also point out that this week is going to be a statement game for both teams. The Lions facing the Buccaneers. The results of that game could have genuine, dramatic shifts against the power rankings next week. So we'll have to see. I'll go ahead and with number 6. The Cowboys.
I have the Cowboys at 6.
Okay, there we go. So we are kind of lining up a little bit. We said that it was going to be a hard game against the 49ers. I think what's really the only reason I had to drop them down so far was, like you mentioned, so many injuries. That's definitely going to play a factor in the next couple of weeks for sure. I mean, if you can't stay healthy, how are you going to win a championship? Sorry.
We lost bad, man. I'm not trying to downplay how bad we lost. It was ugly.
It was also against a Niners team that is torching everybody right now. So how much...
Spoiler alert, is probably going to be number 1 for both of us again.
You're already saying it's your number 1. They're my number 1. Let's not kid ourselves. At this point, it's just a race for number 2.
Like I said, man, they fought hard the first 3. It fell off completely in the fourth quarter when we were down bad and Dak started forcing the ball, which that happens when you're trying to climb out of a 30-point deficit. But based off of what I know we can do to the Jets, the Giants, and the Patriots, 3 also not great teams, but we completely dismantled them. So I think it's there. We've got to put some things together a bit more.
That's number 6. Who do you have at 5? I want to see if we're still the same.
I have the Eagles.
Oh, I have the Bills.
I have the Eagles at 5. Very similar to last year's Vikings. A lot of one-score games. I understand they're undefeated, but they're not blowing teams out like they were last year. They don't look as strong as they did last year.
I fully agree with you. So
I believe that the Eagles... No, they don't. Never mind. Well, kind of, yeah. So in the next 6 weeks, the Eagles play the Jets, but then they play the Dolphins, then they play the Commanders, which is a divisional game, so it could be tough. Then they play Dallas, then the Chiefs, then the Bills.
And then I believe they have Dallas again after that.
And again, they're not blowing teams out, man. They're beating teams by, I think all of their games this season have been by single digits. And I believe most of them have been the one score.
I think so, yeah. And again, these teams that they're beating, they're not the best teams in the world. I mean, granted, this week was against the Rams, and we both had the Rams to win, and it was still a very close game.
Rams could have won that game.
If the Rams won that game, they made the top 10 for sure. Guaranteed. 100%.
Strong agree.
I'll go ahead and say it. The Eagles are my 4, so I agree with everything you said.
Okay.
The Bills, though, I have at number 5. Again, it was a tough loss to the Jags. Yes, it was London. Yes, it was injuries. I think those injuries were inevitably why, and I ended up putting them at the 5 under the Eagles because of the fact that there's no telling how bad this injury bug is going to hit them. Let's not forget that them suffering from injuries was what inevitably took them out of the playoffs last year. They have just as many injury concerns as the Ravens do. So, I mean, until we can see people stay healthy, I'm not 100% sold on them just yet. They got a little bit more proving to do. That was the only reason I put the Eagles ahead of them. I have the Eagles at 4.
My 4 is the Dolphins. I wanted to put them higher. So the Bills are my 3.
Okay.
But I could not put the Dolphins above the Bills strictly based off of their game together.
That's fair.
The Bills beat them by almost 30. But the Dolphins are still a high-powered offense. They are the highest-powered offense. They have 500 more yards as a team than the team in second place. They have a new nickname. Have you heard their new nickname?
No.
The Greatest Show on Surf.
Huh. I like it. I like it.
It's not a bad nickname, and they got that nickname because they just broke the Greatest Show on Turf's record for most yards through.
That's right, it was. Surf and turf, baby.
So
the
the Dolphins are Achane getting injured kind of sucks, but I mean, don't forget they still have Mostert. They still have Jeff Wilson, who should be coming off of IR this week.
So he just came off of IR. He's in his 21-day practice window. It's still undetermined if he's going to play this week against the Panthers. If he does, if he doesn't, we'll get to that later when we talk dick pics. At 3, I have the Chiefs.
Okay.
So, again, I think that there's still a lot they have to put together. Really wasn't sure where to put them, whether it be higher, lower, whatever. But, I mean, at the same time, this is still a team that you have to fear. I think that defense is still really great. They've got to figure out what's going on in that receiver room still. But all things considered, they looked better than the Eagles. They look better than the Bills right now. I have to put a little bit more respect on their name, so I put them at 3.
That's fair. I have the Bills at 3. Yes, they lost to the Jags, but it was essentially it was a road game for both. Mm-hmm. But again, flying across the pond, Jags had an extra week in London. I really do think that made some type of a difference. So I got the Bills at 3. At number 2, I have the Chiefs.
Okay.
Travis Kelce tweaked his ankle. He did end up coming back in the game and scoring a touchdown. But if he goes down, we saw what happens when they don't have Travis Kelce in week 1. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, their defense is coming together now that they got Chris Jones back out there. The Chiefs they're the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. And I put the Dolphins at 2. Now, I hear all your arguments against the Dolphins. The fact that they are still the most high-powered offense. When you consider that their only loss was to the Bills, yes, it was as tough as it was, but again, that's a divisional game. So it's expected that that's going to be a hard-fought game that could have gone either way. Yes, it was a huge difference, but I feel like since then, Miami, this week was a recovery for them. I put them at 2. I think that they're still right now the team to beat in the AFC, in what is still a stacked AFC. So, like we already mentioned, we both have the Niners at 1. We really don't need to explain this any further. CMC is still a beast. Purdy is amazing. Fun fact that I read this week. This was only Kittle's 6th game with multiple touchdowns. 4 of those were with Brock Purdy.
Wow.
Think about that. When everyone sits here and says, we're not sure about Brock Purdy, he's still Mr. Irrelevant. Oh, no. I have all the respect for Brock Purdy.
That is something I wanted to say. I have said before, I'm not sold on Brock Purdy. I'm sold now.
There you go. So that takes care of the power rankings. Let's go ahead and talk our dick picks for this week. Starting out, another injury that we didn't mention, James Conner, is going to be a candidate for IR with... What was it, an ankle injury or was that a knee injury? I can't remember.
Leg injury.
Some leg injury. You pointed out, he's never played a full season.
He hasn't.
His backup, Amare DeMarcado, rostered right now in 0.3% of leagues, is going to move up to that starting position, that RB1 position right now. He was the only person to get a touch after Connor went down.
I like it. I actually...
you put it, so.
I did put it. And it's funny because that's actually what I'm doing right now is picking up Amari DeMarcado. So, yeah, I'm all for it. Titans running back Tyjae Spears has been getting less touches than Derrick Henry, but he's been more explosive over the past few weeks. I could definitely see his share, the running back share, starting to increase. I don't think he's going to take over for Derrick Henry because it's still Derrick Henry, but they're finding a way to get him involved in the game.
I was looking at the game splits between him and Derrick Henry over the past season so far. This week, Derrick Henry had 13 touches, averaging 3.3. Tyjae Spears was averaging 4.9 and had the longest run of 19 yards. You go back to last week, he only had 5 touches compared to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry last week, we all know, went off, but... yeah. Tyjae Spears was still averaging 8 yards a carry last week. We're not going to count the Browns game because their run game was non-existent that day. Go back to week 2. Derrick Henry, 25 touches, 80 yards, averaging 3.2. Tyjae Spears, 8 touches for 49 yards, averages 6.1. His averages for every game have been well over, with the exception of that Browns game, has been over around that 5 yards or more mark. So... yeah. I mean, they're probably going to be looking to get him more involved in the running game. And honestly, I mean, that's what you want out of your rookie running back. I mean, King Henry is still King Henry, but Father Time gets us all. This one's a little personal for me. Panthers running back Chuba Hubbard is only rostered right now 18.1% of leagues. The past couple weeks, he's actually been outpacing Miles Sanders. And, I mean, after last week, y'all know my feelings about Miles Sanders. Right now, that's about the best thing we can get out of our running game. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we start using him a little bit more.
I agree. I still really wish his name was Chuba Hubbard. But
Chuba Hubbard.
It's not. It's Chuba. Put some respect on that man's name. A player I actually went and picked up in our league already last week was Lions wide receiver Josh Reynolds. Rostered in 24.5% of ESPN leagues. He's got pretty good rapport with Jared Goff. He's got 10-plus points in 4 of his 5 games, and he could have a much bigger he will have a much bigger target share if Amon-Ra continues to miss some time.
Let's not forget that they played together. That him and Goff played together in LA, so they do have that rapport built there. That's what I mentioned. And again, 10 points or more in 4 or 5 games. It's really telling. If he's not rostered, you guys are missing out. And then I want to give a special shout to our buddy Dave this morning, our resident Dolphins fan, who pointed this one out today. Dolphins running back Salvon Ahmed is likely to get an increased share of the running game in Miami. With Achane going down for the next few weeks, Jeff Wilson just now coming off of IR, may or may not play in this week's game against the Panthers. Ahmed's going to get a really big target share of the carries. And I mean, he's looked good in the past before. I think it was during the preseason that he was really showing out. It's a Miami offensive player. Like, how can you go wrong there?
I agree with you there. Again, they do still have Mostert. They also have Jeff Wilson, who could, if Jeff Wilson ends up playing, I think it renders Salvon Ahmed almost useless. But the thing about that Miami Dolphins, man, like that team, like you said, it doesn't. If the Miami Dolphins offensive player, just get him, just get him.
Yeah. And you mentioned Mostert, though, but like I just said, Father Time catches us all. Mostert's getting up there in his age as well. So, I mean...
I saw an interesting stat. I might butcher it. I didn't put it in the notes because I was out and about when I came across this stat. It was I think 5 players have reached 21 or 22 miles an hour in the open field this season.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 of them are Dolphins players.
Jesus.
To quote the great movie The Longest Yard, they're so fast they make other fast people look not fast.
Gotta love it. All right, let's talk some wrestling news. We're gonna try and speed through this episode. Let's talk Fastlane. So we did our picks. We loosely did our picks.
Yes, we didn't do called shots. We didn't. The belt was not on the line.
Yeah,
could have been.
It could have been, but this was a very missable show. I'm sorry. It's still a good show. Like, again, the quality of pay-per-views has been good this year.
Yeah, but if you missed the show, you would have missed the press conference.
Yeet. Yeet. That's true. That's true, too. So, we keep joking about it. We had our first of 2 sets of tag titles change hands for Saturday. The Franken team of Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso defeating Judgment Day to win the titles, mostly due to JD McDonough getting involved again, which, of course, it's a Judgment Day match, so everyone's getting involved. JD McDonough goes to swing the Money in the Bank briefcase at Cody. Cody ducks it, hits Damian Priest in the leg instead. Next thing you know, Priest is eating a Crossroads on the announce table, which left Finn soloed out, and Cody and Jay just put the work on Finn real quick and got the win.
Did you see their finisher?
It looks so good.
It looks so good, bro. Jay picks him up like he's going for a 1D, but then Cody comes off the second with the Cody cutter.
Oh my so God. Good. This is actually kind of teased on Friday on SmackDown some as well. We're getting Judgment Day and the Bloodline working together.
Yep.
To an extent, but...
Gotta beef up that War Games squad.
That's true. We got War Games coming up real quick. They haven't officially said that we're getting War Games at Survivor Series, but if it's anything like last year, then yeah, it'll probably happen.
Unfortunately, looks like Cody finished the wrong story, because now he's a tag champ instead of the WWE champ. But
I love when during the press conference they asked him, like, so is this going to stop you from finishing the story? And he didn't give an answer.
I really hope that WWE has a plan for this because
100% they have a plan. It's already mentioned there's going to be a rematch on Raw on Monday. But I would not be surprised if next month at Survivor Series we see Cody and Jay versus Jimmy and Solo.
I can see it.
And honestly, that needs to be the first moment of Jay versus Jimmy. We were talking about it weeks ago about how they were talking about, are we going to get Jimmy versus Jay at Mania? And I feel like that could be the first steps to it.
Also, I figured it out, man. You know who JD McDonough reminds me of?
Who?
That stupid Eli Manning face when he's standing on the sidelines with his helmet off and he's like... That's what JD McDonough reminds me of.
Oh God, that's great. I like that. I like that one. It's a good call.
I don't like his face.
You know, I don't mind JD McDonough. I don't mind him as much as everybody else does.
I don't like him. I'm not. No, he looks like he eats paste.
Oh, it's so harsh. So harsh. Moving on. LWO versus Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. What we were saying that it was going to be either Joaquin Wilde or Cruz del Toro that was going to be their tag partner, and whoever that was going to eat the pin. What we were not expecting was...
We were wrong. We were not expecting somebody who spits in the face of people who don't want to be cool.
Which, good on them, because Carlito's actually getting used on television again. He signed that deal back before Backlash and has not appeared since.
Incredible.
So him coming out mid-match to be the tag partner in what was only a 10-minute match.
You're going to show up late, man. Can't be coming up late to work.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to play that one into things. I guess he's just too cool for school to show up on time. I don't know. But
they're going to not address it at all.
I feel bad, though, because I feel like this hurts Bobby and the Street Profits more than it helps the LWO.
Yeah, I agree, because Hurt Profits are just, they should be dominant. They should be challenging for the belts. The belts should be separated, and the Hurt Profits should be challenging for belts.
I want to go ahead and slide this in here. We don't have it in the notes, but this was also mentioned this week. There has been discussion about adding a new member to that stable in the form of Odyssey Jones. Now, Odyssey Jones, those of you who don't remember, actually got called up during the draft to Raw, but has yet to be used, and no one knows why.
Theme in WWE.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things where, like, they want to use him more. Like, he barely got any time in NXT. Let's not forget that he was in that breakout tournament. He was in the finals of the breakout tournament against Carmelo Hayes, where Hayes inevitably won it, and well, Carmelo's the star that he is now. But we've barely seen anything of Odyssey Jones ever since, and that's a big guy that you could put as like a solid, like, heavy for your team.
Yeah. Especially because Bobby doesn't really seem to be active as much as, I mean, obviously he was in this match, but
yes and no. I think the way that somebody put it on like one of the post shows was you can have Bobby as your veteran, your Street Profits as your established team, and then you have your rookie in Odyssey Jones that you can build up with him being in that stable. I think it's a great move. Yeah, I think it's a great move.
It. Speaking of growing stables, I believe I saw somewhere that the plan is to use Carlito moving forward, and that this was not a one-off. Because of, like you said, he showed up in Puerto Rico at Backlash.
Well, we'll get to that as well. There's notes on that, on why
I have not read our notes today, so
don't worry. It was something I just put into the notes earlier because it was something that broke over the weekend. Moving on to
a beautiful fucking match.
Yes. However, so Io Sky retains over Asuka and Charlotte. Couple notes from this one. First off, Asuka starting the match with the Mist, taking Charlotte out early. Beautiful.
I have a question about that.
Okay.
How was it clear?
I don't know.
There was no. I am a fan of the visual of having green, blue, red, foreshadowing, mist across somebody's face for the entire match, and it was water that got sprayed into Charlotte's face, and then Charlotte is out of the match for a little bit while they're like wiping her face down. And I understand the kayfabe and all that, but like. It's that moment of having somebody wipe Charlotte's face out of the ring, It's more impactful if there's color there.
I can agree with that. Also, another thing to point out, Charlotte forcing a tap from Asuka, but the ref not catching it because Bayley gets involved. What did I say during our predictions last week? Triple threat. Bayley's getting Damage Control's getting involved in this match. And sure enough,
And
even though they had Io saying before the match, like, no, I don't want you to get involved, she still got involved.
I do like that they addressed that in the press conference afterwards. And they had an NBA player ask the question, and Bayley was like, you know what it's like to be a part of a team. You know, in that moment, you're going to do whatever you can to help your brothers or help your sister.
Honestly, that was great. I was so ready to say this was going to be another tease of Bayley and Io teasing the breakup, and it still could be, but I think that was a damn good explanation for why Bayley did it.
It was.
And again, Io retains, just like I called. Before the next match, we got a Pat McAfee appearance.
Let's go. You knew he was gonna. If we did called shots, that was gonna be mine.
Absolutely. Not only that, but he did the intro video too, which
He called himself a mathematist. It was great. It was great.
Also, there's something I wanted to cover from last week that we didn't mention. The intro video for No Mercy last week was...
I missed it.
You missed it? They did the entirety of it was an entire opening based around the No Mercy N64 game. You need to go back and watch it. You need to go back and watch just like that first 5 minutes with that intro. They literally had like a player select screen that looked straight out of No Mercy with all the new wrestlers, and like it's so good. You go back and watch it. It's so good. But yeah, no. He comes out and then he's on commentary for Cena and LA Knight against the Bloodline. As expected, Cena takes a lot of the offense. Gets the hot tag to LA Knight. LA Knight runs wild.
Cena got his ass beat for the first half of that match.
Mm-hmm. And then Cena also mentioned at the end of at the press conference, there's no telling. Like he openly admits that like if Hollywood calls, he's got to go. So it's kind of hard to put him in any storylines right now. But if he's gonna use that time to like push other people, the way he helped out LA Knight with this run. Yeah,
and I mean,
go for it.
He said, he's like, look, you know, for me to put a bunch of other people out of work by being selfish isn't fair.
Mm-hmm.
And then some stupid person asked him, like, oh, you used to talk shit about The Rock going to Hollywood, and you did the same thing. How do you feel about it? And Cena, being the professional, he was like, you know, I've said before, and I'll say it again here. He's like, I didn't understand. I went about it the wrong way. Blah, blah. Like, he handled it like a professional.
He really did.
We've got, you know, a couple of undefeated Frankentag teams here. When are we getting Cody and Jay versus LA and Cena?
Probably not. We're probably not.
I know.
However, when one team that was that we mentioned reformed on Raw last week, that is likely to get into that picture, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, the reformation DIY.
Yeah, tomato champs.
And I also have to give them a quick shout out. They brought back the Glorious Bomb last night. One of the funniest social media only gags to ever exist. Loved it.
Tomato champs.
Tomato champs.
And that leads us to our main event. Seth Rollins defeating Shinsuke in a last man standing match for the World Heavyweight Championship. What the fuck?
This definitely felt like it should have been Shinsuke's time.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, you can't do this fucking 2-month-long thing about Seth's back, and it's all fucked up and this and that, and he wins by hitting a fucking Falcon Arrow off of a fucking platform onto the floor. It doesn't make sense.
I get that they're trying to make Seth look strong, but you are making Shinsuke look so weak in the process.
Yeah, dude, and like,
it is
Shinsuke
so
deserves a fucking world title run.
It's so much disrespect to Shinsuke. I hate it. I hate it so much. And Shinsuke looked great in this match. Like you mentioned, like you teased earlier, he hit the red mist. That should have been something. Like, if it works for Asuka as much as it does, then why doesn't it work for Shinsuke?
Right. And like, I'm really shocked they went with red. As much as they want to avoid blood, you know?
It definitely looked like blood. And like all the videos and everything of everyone doing recaps, because it was red, because it was like, they had to put it all in black and white, and it's like, it's not blood, guys. It's just red mist. You
Try explaining that to YouTube.
Right? Oh, that's true. The algorithms. That's fair.
But yeah, dude, like, I don't know, man. Like, where do they go from here? Do they continue on with his backstory? Do they
they've already said what it is after on last night's Raw. They had Drew come out for a quick little promo. He did just cut straight to the chase. He's like, I want a shot. I want a shot at the belt. So
right. No. But and I know we're getting that at Crown Jewel. That I know.
Yeah.
But is this lingering back issue going to continuously be a storyline?
I have no idea. I hope. And that's the thing. They've booked themselves into a corner with this because
that's my argument. Yeah. Because you can't spend 2, maybe more months focusing on somebody with a broken fucking back and then just, it healed on its own. Especially when in that storyline, you said, oh, my back's been broken for 4 years. That doesn't heal on its own. We're not talking about a fucking paper cut here.
That's fair. I fully agree. I mean, I'm 100% with you on that. I completely agree.
Didn't know this is where my rant would be coming from this week. You still have to give star ratings.
That's what I was getting ready to say. What's your star rating?
What? For the star ratings, Cody and Jay were drunk on that press conference.
Oh, they were so drunk.
You have heard us say
Jay may have even been high. I don't know.
This.
They struggled so hard to answer questions. They kept losing track of things. Cody being the professional he is, he comes right out like, full disclosure, we may have imbibed in a libation or two backstage before this.
And so, yeah, we've been making jokes throughout the show. If you guys haven't seen it yet, you need to at least go watch.
It's free on YouTube. Come on.
It's so funny. First of all, you could tell that they were drunk because both of their faces are red and like flushed.
Mm-hmm.
And they opened that show. They're not going to be flushed 3.5 hours later, like as if they just came out of the ring.
Yeet.
And I mean, like they asked Cody, like, where are we at in the story? And he goes, Jay, where are we at in the story? And he's like, and then he just starts going off.
Just starts giggling and goes off on a tangent.
He's like, yo, man. He's like, my brothers, and he's like, as much as I want to punch Jimmy Uso in the face. It was so good. I don't normally watch the press conferences because I watch the pay-per-views at work, and they normally go until midnight when I get off. So it's like, okay, show's over, I'm leaving work.
Yeah.
This show ended at like 11:15. So I still have 45 minutes left of my shift, and I'm like, well, I might as well just keep the press conference on. And I am so glad that I did. Because even fucking Papa H comes out, and he sits down, and he leans into the mic and goes, yeet.
It was great. It was so great. All right, star rankings. So what are you giving this show?
So I've been struggling with this, honestly, man, because, like, it was a B show, right? And as far as a B show goes, I want to say it was like a 4-star show. It was nothing offensive. There was no bad match, you know. But also, that puts myself in the corner when we go to review a WrestleMania or a Royal Rumble, and I give that 4 stars because it's not Fastlane. So I think I'm going to give it 3 1/3.
Okay.
And again, I enjoyed the show. I disagree with you when you say it was. I mean, yes, it was kind of missable, but I'm not mad that I watched it.
Yeah. No, it's still it was still an enjoyable show. It was less impactful though. There were less matches. When you compare it to the quality of the other shows that we've already had this year, it is lower. We've had some really good shows this year, and it makes it tough to granted, it's tough to rate it highly because of that. Because we've had even the quote unquote B shows, your paybacks, your backlash, your Elimination Chamber, all of those were amazing shows. So I actually ended up giving this 2 2/3.
2 2/3.
2 2/3. Just because, again, like we mentioned, when you compare that to the quality of the other pay-per-views we've had this year, this was a little bit on the lesser end. We mentioned Carlito getting used. We mentioned the desire to put Odyssey Jones in with the Bobby and the Street Profits. Let's talk about why this is. A report went out this weekend that apparently Vince has been officially outed from the creative team, and Triple H has full control, and it's visible. It's visible because look at how many more undercard names have been getting used. Look at all these people that have returned in the past couple weeks. Johnny Gargano returning last week. Tegan Knox getting used as much as she is. Cameron Grimes making his way back onto television. You've got a quiet Dragon Lee call up to SmackDown. All these big names that in Vince's world would never get touched. This is starting to feel a lot more like Triple H shows again. There's been a lot higher of morale backstage. I think it's safe to say that we're finally out of Vince's era.
I hope so, man. Because like, set aside all of his allegations. That's a lot, and I know that's difficult to do. But look at it purely from the fact that we have an almost 80-year-old man running creative for a show targeted to 18 to 45-year-olds.
Not only that, but they're trying to establish a lot of these people that are in their 20s. We're not relying on your 40 and 50-year-old legends anymore.
That's what I was gonna say, because Vince we had all these Raw anniversary shows or bringing back Attitude Era thing. The problem is in 15 years we're not going to be able to do that.
Exactly.
If you don't create new stars right now.
Even during the press conference, Cena was mentioning, he's like, look, I'm 46. I don't know how much time I got left in the bed. Like, I'm going to make the most of my time while I can.
That was something that I found interesting, because he said, like, excuse me, I'm 46. I don't know how much time I have, but I want to give back to these younger guys. And he points to LA Knight, who's 40.
But at the same time,
never been injured, and I know, but like,
not only just that, but like, again, like, even in his Eli Drake days, he really had to work to make his name known. He also got a lot later of a start than some of the, like, you got to think, a lot of these kids that are starting out in their 20s and everything, Eli Drake was barely making it out of the indies when he was 30.
While we're talking about age real quick, dude, I had no idea that Tyler Bate was 19 when he won the UK championship.
Yeah. That was
That's
thing.
Crazy.
That was one of the big selling points during the first UK tournament, was the fact that he was as young as he was.
Tyler Bate and Butch on the fucking main roster. Oh, speaking of people that need to be fucking called up, our boy, the new NXT champ, Ilya Dragunov.
Okay, but at the same time, you mentioned we need Tyler Bate and Butch on as a team. Let's not forget that we just had them as a team on NXT last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you and I have been high on Ilya Dragunov since his match with Walter in the pandemic.
This has actually been discussed. He was actually scheduled for a call-up at one point, and then they changed course in order to give him an NXT title run, which I'm okay with it. I'm entirely okay with it, because I think that also means that we're finally going to get Carmelo called up to the main roster, which it's time.
It's almost Rumble season.
We'll get to that here in a little bit, because we need to talk about that. But
Sorry,
first,
I'm getting ahead of myself here. I got excited.
Yeah, but first we need to mention we got to talk about the other side of the divide now. So we mentioned one set of tag team titles changing hands. There wasn't the only tag team titles to change hands on Saturday. FTR lost the titles in a very quick match to Ricky Starks and Big Bill on Collision.
Did you know that Big Bill is 7 feet tall and you can't teach that?
I mean, maybe at one point he was. I think now they actually bill him at his regular height, which I think is 6'10".
That's insane, man. Like, I'm a tall dude, and when I see people that tall, I'm like,
how do you think I feel? I'm relatively short. How do you think I feel? Yeah. So, also, fun fact: this is also his first tag title win. It's the first title. Well, no, not his first title win. He had a title run in, I can't remember, but still, this was his first tag title win. When you consider how long him and Enzo were together, and that was always one of the big things, was that as long as they were together, they never won the tag titles in NXT, WWE, none of it.
I fucking loved that team, dude.
We both did. The two of us would do that opening promo all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, in public, with around people that didn't even know wrestling. We'd just be like, my name is Enzo Amore.
I think we did it at a party.
Pretty sure we did. I guarantee you we did. I know exactly which one it is, too, and we'll have to talk about that off the air. But anyways, the reason this happened, reportedly, Cash Wheeler is very injured. He took 0 offense in this match. Starks and Big Bill did all the offense against Dax Harwood in this 5-minute match. Honestly, I'm okay with this. Yes, I get that they're injured, but at the same time, FTR deserves some time off. God damn, they deserve some time off.
Absolutely.
You're finally getting a new team with these tag team belts. And when the Young Bucks at Wrestle Dream won that number 1 contenders match, everyone was like, oh, we're getting FTR, the Young Bucks 4. And it's like, do we really need another one?
Always a good match. But
yeah,
no, I hear you. FTR re-signed recently, didn't they?
Yeah, they are signed through 2027.
That's what I thought, because I know he kind of put out that Dax, I believe it was Dax, put the tweet that said "top guys out," and a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's them." Like they're not leaving. They just
he even came back afterwards. Just like, guys, we say that all the time. We're not out. We're signed through 2027. And there were a lot of questions as well because they did trademark CMFTR over the weekend as well, and that was one of the things that came up in the news. But like, it's like, no, they're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere.
CM Punk hints. We'll have to talk on that.
Oh, that's in the leftovers.
Okay.
Only because we don't have enough time.
Yeah. So speaking of AEW, AEW and WWE are going to war tonight.
Yeah, they are. So we're getting. I think it's because of baseball playoffs. They moved AEW to tonight, and we're getting. It's being called Title Tuesday. It's to honor Tony Khan on his birthday. Let's pull up this card real quick because it's a stacked card.
I'll pull up the NXT card.
NXT is going commercial free for the first 30 minutes. Dynamite also going commercial free for the first 30 minutes. They're going head to head. AEW is actually putting in a buy-in match to tonight. Eddie Kingston versus Minoru Suzuki on a pre-show for a Dynamite on Tuesday. Think about that. Like they're clearly trying to win the ratings war tonight. Not only that, but they've also scheduled a 10-minute run over. So you'll have everybody finishing, which NXT always has that 5-minute run over these days. You're going to have everyone tuning out of NXT to go tune into the ending of AEW.
Gotta end strong.
Gotta end strong.
To combat that, WWE is putting on what they're calling the greatest NXT show ever.
Which, the number of main roster talents they're putting on the show alone.
Correct.
Like, you're going to get...
They have...
Go ahead.
They have John Cena coming to back up Carmelo Hose.
Carmelo Hose? Carmelo's Hose.
All right. This isn't the 90s anymore. John Cena is coming to NXT to back up Carmelo Hayes against Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes being in Breaker's corner. That's interesting too.
Cody Rhodes has a big announcement,
which I guarantee you is going to be the Dusty Cup.
Probably.
Guarantee it.
Asuka is challenging Roxanne Perez. Tyler Bate, speaking of the devil himself, is teaming with the Brawling Brutes to take on Gallus in a pub rules match.
Gimme.
And all of the commercials, every commercial has ended with that very famous gong sound.
They're teasing a Taker appearance. Meanwhile, on Title Tuesday, here's some of the matches that we're getting. Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson, #1 contender for the TNT Championship. Powerhouse Hobbs versus Chris Jericho. Jay White versus Hangman Page. Adam Copeland making his in-ring debut against Luchasaurus. That's a big one. Saraya defending the Women's World Championship against Hikaru Shida. And Rey Fenix defending the International Championship against Jon Moxley. Now, again, Phoenix apparently dealing with injury concerns now. The belt was only ever put on him because Moxley was concussed during the one match. He was never supposed to lose it. I wouldn't be surprised if Moxley wins it back. But yeah, stacked card on both shows. Is this the start of another Monday Night War? Not necessarily for Tuesday, but you've got a lot of people are speculating this when the new television deals get worked out for AEW. What's the possibility of one of these shows that they have moving to Monday? Honestly, I pray to God not. I pray, because the last thing we need is another Monday Night War during football season.
Oh my God, I know.
That's the last thing we need.
Not only that, but I think AEW would be stupid to do that because NXT beat them in the ratings recently. I know they're on different nights, but if you looked at the overall viewership, NXT had them beat by, I want to say, like 80,000 views. They also beat them in that 18 to 45 demographic.
49. That's
18 to 49 demographic. So,
not only that, but like NXT is starting to put up main roster numbers like for viewership. And that says a lot. Like they've really been putting
almost 900,000 people watching.
They've really been putting stock into NXT's viewership, and it's starting to show a lot. And that's how they've said it as well. They want to start using some of these main roster talents on NXT to show that NXT can stand just as big as the big two. This is what they wanted with ECW back in the day, and they never got. Now it's just working. It's working out great.
I wouldn't mind if we had another three-way Survivor Series like we did 2019 or 18.
It was 19. I still love that Survivor Series. That was one of my favorite ones of recent years. All right, I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah, let's get to the leftovers. Like you said, quick episode this week.
Yeah, well, a lot quicker than last week. That's for damn sure. Something that we forgot to report on last week because it was relatively not newsworthy, but I mean...
It's not newsworthy.
Yeah. Colin Kaepernick submitted an open letter making his case to become the new Jets starting quarterback. And my only thought here, good on Colin Kaepernick for at least still trying, but LOL at him trying.
Bro, you're 32 years old, man. Let it go.
You're 32 years old. You've been out of the league for several years now. Even if you're still in football shape or anything, just the simple fact that you've been out of the league that long, there's no way anyone's taking you.
Not only that, man, and I know a lot of people point to him, oh, he's blackballed from the NFL for kneeling during the anthem. Like, people forget that, like, his last year, people had him figured out.
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
The only reason they won games that season was when Alex Smith came in.
Between Colin Kaepernick and then you got Cam Newton saying there aren't 32 players better at quarterback than me. Like,
my only argument for either of them is Zach Wilson. They purposely targeted the Jets because it's Zach Wilson. And, I mean, not wrong. Not wrong. That being said, Greenspan this morning on ESPN apparently was saying that he's banking on Rodgers being back by week 13. Ha!
There's no way.
There's no way. It's not happening. It's just not happening.
No. According to a report by Fightful Select, Mustafa Ali was originally slated to win the NXT North American title from Dominic Mysterio before he got released from his contract. This dude can't catch a break.
It's such a shame, too. At least 6 people, because of him getting released, that had everything changed, which is all the more reason it's fucked up. And we mentioned it earlier, but there is discussion of a CM Punk return to the WWE. They are in talks. I know your feelings.
There's been some teases. Like there was like an X taped up on a wall last night at Raw. Corey Graves has made a couple of like famous CM Punk quotes that CM Punk didn't come up with himself. You know,
it's whatever.
I don't want it.
I'll believe it when I see it. I am not as entirely opposed to it as you are, but I'll believe it when I see it. And apparently that's kind of the belief backstage as well. And then, as always, let's go ahead and close out Week 6 picks. First off, Week 5, I almost beat you in the picks this week until the Packers lost to the Raiders last night. Almost. Other than that, we were even. Right now, you sit 6 games ahead of me. Let's go into this week's games. Broncos at Chiefs.
Come on.
1, 2, 3. Chiefs.
Come on.
All right. Ravens at Titans.
Ravens.
Commanders at Falcons.
Oh, I said I wasn't going to pick the Commanders all year, so I'm sticking with it.
I don't know. I'm kind of split on this one. I'm kind of split.
I'm kind of split on it too, but I'm sticking with my brand.
I'll take the Commanders. Screw it, just in case. I got to catch up on somewhere. Vikings at Bears. Give me the Bears.
Ooh, Justin Jefferson's out.
No Jay Jettas.
Yeah, give me the Bears.
And Justin Fields, this is a winnable game for him. Like I said last week, it was a winnable game, and he won it. This week, it's a winnable game. I think he wins it.
Fair.
Seahawks at Bengals. Bengals finally starting to heat up.
Yeah, they remembered that they had a player named Jamar Chase on their team this week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still rolling with Seattle.
I am too. Niners at Browns. 1, 2, 3. Niners. Saints at Texans.
Oh, Saints beat the shit out of Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
Yeah, they did. But I think the Texans win this one.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with the Niners.
The what?
The Niners. Jesus Christ. The Saints. I was reading.
Yeah, good job. All right. Colts at Jaguars. Battle of 3 and 2s.
Tony's hurt. He's
Give
out.
Me the Jags.
Forgot to mention that. Yeah, I'm taking Trevor Lawrence and the boys.
Which, don't get me wrong, Minshew Mania could still come back with it, and it's a divisional game, so that game could go either way.
I agree.
Panthers at Dolphins. 1, 2, 3. Dolphins.
If Big Tony was playing in that game, I'd probably take the Colts.
I'm mad Dave texted in the group chat. He's like, I'm looking forward to our game this weekend. I sure as hell ain't. Patriots at Raiders. Give me the Raiders.
Yeah.
I think the Patriots are done.
The Pats.
All right.
I think they are done. But I don't see Bill Belichick. He's lost by 30 his last 2 games. He's got to bounce back.
Whatever. Lions at Bucks. Now this is the tough one.
Ooh.
And again, like I mentioned during our power rankings, this is the game that has the biggest effect on power rankings next week.
Take the Lions.
I'm taking the Lions too. I still trust the Lions in this.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. If the Bucks find a way to win this game,
then the Bucks we have to start taking a lot more seriously.
Yep.
All right. Cards at Rams. Give me the Rams.
I'm gonna go the Rams, but also divisional game.
Mm-hmm. Could be another trap game. Eagles at Jets. Eagles.
Philly.
Giants at Bills. Bills. And then Monday night, your Cowboys in LA against the Chargers.
We're gonna wax them.
Gonna wax them?
No, but we'll win.
Yeah, I got the Cowboys to win this one too.
I don't feel comfortable saying we're gonna wax anybody after losing.
And then buys for the Packers and the Steelers. That's going to do it. All right, well, that does it for us this week. Thankfully, we kept it nice and short.
Peace.
Yeah, there's nothing else to say. We'll see you guys next week. Oh, wait, no. There will be no episode next week. I'm going to be out of town. May not be an episode the week after that either, unless we record late. I don't fly in until Tuesday morning, so...
Maybe I could record something, but you'd still have to be the one to post it, so yeah, I don't see...
Technically, you could post it, but it would be very unedited and very, and there would be no overlays or anything, but you could if you wanted to.
Look into it.
We'll talk about that off the air. In the meanwhile, though, that's gonna do it for us this week. For Bobby Boomerang, I'm Dick Burns. We'll see you guys later. Check it out.